Fascism is a word that we really ought to be using quite regularly now. If you call it fascism, you have to bloody get off your arse and do something about it.
Doing art feels like one of the great ways of doing something about fascism. Because the way we're talking about art now is it defies the inevitable. That it creates wiggle room. And what if is the enemy of fascism?
Here's the deal. If you voted for him, at any point, I am not on team I welcome you with open arms. You are literally the reason that everything is failing. It is your fault. And I stand on that 10 toes.
You see this? All this.
It's okay to be white.
Look at me, son.
It's okay to be white.
You know.
It's okay to be white.
I know. No, you don't.
It's okay to be white.
I know.
It's okay to be white. It's okay to be white. It's okay to be white. It's okay to be white.
Don't fuck with me, all right? Don't fuck with me, Sean, not you.
It's okay to be white. It's okay to be white.
Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Come on, all I'm asking for is a little change. I haven't eaten in 3 days. Well, I mean, except for this.
Just keep in mind, a major reason why this country's insolvent is because billionaires don't pay taxes. Anyways, hope you have a really great day.
So I know that when you have a big beard and glasses and you drink coffee, it makes it seem like you know what you're talking about, but national insolvency is not produced by tax cuts for billionaires or millionaires. Well, first of all, they do pay taxes. You know who doesn't pay taxes? Poor people. They don't have to pay taxes. Second of all, national solvency is produced by low GDP. That's where a nation really makes its money. When a country is producing more goods and services, the country brings in more money, and more money equals a greater ability to pay your bills. In free market capitalism, which is the most successful economic theory in the history of the world, how you achieve more GDP is by incentivizing investment and entrepreneurship. If you start a business, for example, and you make a profit from that business, the government will allow you to take the percentage of those profits that would have gone to taxes and reinvest it into your business or to start another business. And that, in turn, creates a higher GDP, which in turn decreases a nation's insolvency.
So let me see if I got this right. We've got hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars, billions, trillions, in fact, to pay for things like a flying swingers club for the Secretary of Homeland Security.
Yeah, you got it wrong. Taxpayer money isn't paying for a private swingers club for the Secretary of Homeland Security.
Or private jets to escort the girlfriend of the director of the FBI around, or to pay for him to party like a frat boy overseas.
Do we have that? That's a new one on me.
And we've even got money to attack another country and go to war with them for some reason.
A nuclear bomb, that's the word you're searching for. Also for being the largest sponsor of terrorism across the globe. Terrorism kills a lot of people, I hear tell.
But there's no money for health care.
Well, there's this thing called a budget, where every year money is allocated to certain functions. The money for war was already allocated to the Department of War, and so on and so forth. It's not like there's some big pot of money in Washington that they just pull from whenever they want something, you know. It's called a budget, see. They talk about it a lot on the news.
I don't know if this is just me, but does anyone else feel like their job is draining the life out of them?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this guy doesn't work as a roofer.
Are we ready to acknowledge yet that the main problem is not actually with a handful of bad people, but a massive systemic crisis rooted in colonialism and the resultant trauma instilled in everyone involved in it? No? Okay, just checking. I will check back again tomorrow.
So this person has a PhD in what? I don't know. But she's right. This is a terrible country. Just terrible. This person has a PhD. The horror. The horror.
Hey guys, are we ready? Have we had enough? Have we watched enough videos? Have we read enough of the fucking...
You ought not talk that way, you're just a boy.
...emails? Have we paid enough? Have we had enough anxiety? Have we had enough rage? Have we had enough anger? Have we had enough emotional abuse? You guys, the system in which we live in that controls us, that controls everything, that is fed by power and greed and ego. Have we had enough of that life?
She's got it rough, don't she? Nothing says suffering like lying on your back, talking into your phone, and posting it to TikTok. This is such an oppressive system, isn't it? It's almost like they let you say whatever you want to say in public, even while in repose.
Peaceful protest won't fix this. Being peaceful won't fix this. I'm telling you, not resorting to violence won't fix it!
Fix what? Your piercings? How much did those set you back? Your dreads? They look pretty good to me, and it ain't cheap to keep dreads looking good. Believe me, I know. I raised 2 black daughters with dreads. Your phone? The quality looks pretty good to me. How much did you pay for your phone? I'm working with a $40 Walmart job myself. So what exactly will violence fix?
I don't know why anybody would be so upset about a warehouse fire where nobody got hurt when we tell third graders about the Boston Tea Party. Kind of seems like the same thing to me.
Well, no, it's not the same thing. Just because two things are alike in some ways does not mean that they are the same thing. That's called a non sequitur in logic. Elephants have ears, my cousin has ears, therefore my cousin is an elephant. The Boston Tea Party was a rebellion against the British government that was trying to force colonialists to import their tea and pay taxes on it. And they said no thanks, and as an act of rebellion, they threw the British tea overboard into Boston Harbor. That's quite a bit different from one lazy ne'er-do-well burning down a privately owned warehouse because the owner wouldn't pay them more money.
Guys, what are they going to do if we burn it all down? Have you thought of that? What can they do? What if we burn it all down? What can they do?
We'd build it back. We've done it before. It's what civilized people do. They build things. Uncivilized people burn things.
You know, if you're not going to pay us enough to live or afford to live, at least pay us enough not to do this.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that this guy was alive when he burned down the warehouse that supposedly wasn't paying him a living wage, which is a self-refuting statement. They were paying him a living wage, obviously. Now, I don't know the guy, but I'm guessing he had a place to live that wasn't a cardboard box. I'm also guessing that he ate something that day and that he had clothing on. So it wasn't that he wasn't being paid a living wage, it was that he thought he should have been paid more than a living wage. Essentially, he wanted to be paid more for his work. Now, in my day, when you wanted to be paid more, you worked really hard and took initiative and trained yourself in other duties so that your employer would see that your work is deserving of more pay. But these days, apparently the way to get more money at work is to burn down the place where you work. And what about all the people who lost their jobs because of this? People who didn't mind what they were being paid. They're actually now not earning a living wage because you took that away from them. This was a very selfish thing to do. Burning down places of business and putting people out of work is a very selfish thing to do. That used to go without saying, but apparently it still needs to be said.
Guys, I don't know why it's not fucking.
You ought not talk that way, you just a boy.
Listen to me, okay? Black people aren't gonna pick you because you do anti-racist work. What if I don't care about being picked? What if I would rather be alone than be with racist white people? What if we make a lot of exceptions for people in our community. Oh, she's my sister. I mean, she hates gay people, but she's my sister. I don't talk to my mom. I don't talk to my grandma. I don't talk to my dad. I don't talk to my sister. I don't have conversations, relationships, dynamics, or friendships with people who have value systems that are rooted in people not being seen as human.
This person really doesn't like people who don't treat other people like human beings. So much so that she is going to stop treating people like human beings. Sorry, Grandma, you're not a human being to me. It's sad. Pray for this person.
So I feel like not enough Americans have any idea what's going on between us and Iran because American media fails to give historical context and they just use lightning words like war, Iran, Middle East, bombs, missiles. And I'm like, okay, Queen, sure.
That's pretty funny. And by funny, I mean sad and pathetic because she's going to be doing the same thing here. Her whole argument can be summed up in 2 words. Democrat and dictator. She'll offer no context. Just Democrat and dictator. Democrat and dictator. Democrat and dictator.
So I'm going to explain it in a way that makes sense, and I'm going to tell the truth. So the government that runs Iran today exists partly because of something that we did decades ago. So back in 1953, Iran actually had a democratically elected government, meaning that their people voted for their leader the same way that we do. But that government tried to take control of its own oil instead of letting foreign companies like us profit from it.
They wanted to turn into a socialist nation. They wanted to seize the means of production away from private industry, which is socialism. So in 1953, Iran had already decided to disband its democracy in favor of socialism.
And the United States was like, and we overthrew them. So we replaced their democracy with a dictator called the Shah.
They replaced their democracy with socialism, and we replaced it with a dictator.
And this happened whether the people of Iran liked it or not. And hint, they didn't like it. But the CIA had essentially looked at Iranian democracy.
Iranian socialism.
And said, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. We can't have that. So for the next couple of decades, the Shah ruled Iran. Sorry if you see me itching myself. There's mosquitoes out here. But the Shah ruled Iran with U.S. backing until 1979 when the Iranian Revolution happened. So basically huge uprising. The people overthrew their government and finally removed him and created the government that Iran has today.
Which is a fascist government. Seriously, the government in Iran today is a fascist government by definition. So they replaced their democracy with socialism. We replaced their socialism with dictatorship. They replaced their dictatorship with religious fascism.
So I know what some people are going to say. Some people are going to be like, but Iran's leadership today is oppressive. So isn't this a good thing that we're going to war with them? No. War is never good. Okay? It's not our jobs to be Captain Save-A-Ho, first off.
The fascist regime in Iran hanged 54 hoes in public last year.
Yes, Iran restricts women's rights. They crack down on protests, political opposition.
Yada, yada, yada. They executed upwards of 40,000 of their own people for protesting their fascist regime. A great bunch of guys, huh?
That's real. That's not propaganda per se.
Per se.
But what's important is that their government exists today, coming out of a 1979 revolution, which only happened because we overthrew their democracy.
That's true if by important you mean irrelevant. Even if this regime only came about because of something we did, does that mean we can't intervene to try to remove it? Wouldn't it actually put a moral impetus on us to do so? Of course it would. Old Victor Frankenstein thought so, didn't he? He created a monster by accident, and he didn't say, well, it's my fault this monster exists, so I can't do anything about it. No, he hunted the creature down.
My friends, if it looks like fascism, sounds like fascism, acts like fascism, dresses like fascism, talks like fascism, kills like fascism, and lies like fascism, brothers and sisters, it's fascism.
I'm gonna drag you into the men's room and wash your mouth out with soap.
I got a black friend right here.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh, okay.
It's true.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're not a racist piece of shit holding white supremacy right now, you piece of shit. Fucking Uncle Tom.
There you go, be racist.
working 40 hours a week, coming home exhausted, eat, sleep, repeat, and we're just supposed to accept this?
You better get back inside with the women and kids where it's safe.
Just to remind the masses, Iran was not anywhere close to having a nuclear weapon, and the high gas prices is strictly because this administration is greedy.
Guess what I'm doing?
Wait, don't tell me. Looking like an idiot.
Quick question for you. When did teaching become the only profession blamed for problems it didn't create?
I know, right? It's like, who taught these idiots logic? Oh yeah, it was teachers. Well, it's not just hard work. You have to be smart with your money. All the money in the world won't help you if you don't know what to do with it. And the people who have money, as it turns out, know what to do with money.
You know, I'm starting to think that Americans don't like socialism because then the corporations wouldn't be able to buy out the politicians.
Under socialism, it wouldn't be that the corporations could no longer buy the politicians. It would be that the corporations would now be the politicians and vice versa. One of the first tenets of socialism is that the government should seize the means of production.
And making our lives into a living
You ought not talk that way, you just a boy.
hell.
No, I don't think your life is as bad as you think it is.
And then all of our taxes wouldn't be spent on bombing innocent children across the world. Instead, they would just be used for giving us free schooling and housing and healthcare, which is achievable and has been done many times around the world.
All of our taxes would be used to give us free stuff. So we'd be paying for free stuff. Maybe your life is as bad as you think it is.
We can have a habitable planet, or we can have billionaires. We can't have both.
What planet are you on?
The dumbest response to the No Kings protests has to be the people who say, well, we don't have a king because if we did, you couldn't protest. Yeah, we know that. We're not saying that we currently have a king. We are saying that we have a dumb, narcissistic megalomaniac who wants to become a king, and we don't want that to happen. We have someone who is actively posting memes of him being a king, who is calling himself king, who is selling gold-plated merchandise as if he is a king, and we don't want that to happen. And you say, oh, but he's not a king. Yeah, we know that, you hotel room shower without a door. We just don't want it to happen. And that is why we're protesting.
Or it could be that he's trolling you idiots and you're too dumb to know it.
In the United States, if someone is dying and needs a kidney transplant to survive, the government cannot make anyone give them a kidney.
I think we can all see where this is going. Let me just save us some time by pointing out that a human fetus starts developing his or her kidneys at around 9 weeks. Therefore, by this person's logic, the fetus has bodily autonomy over his or her kidneys. Therefore, we have no right to abort the fetus because that would be violating their bodily autonomy.
In fact, it's illegal to even pressure someone into giving you a kidney.
If it's illegal to pressure someone into giving you a kidney, it's certainly illegal to forcefully destroy another person's kidney, as in during an abortion.
Even if you're the only match on earth, even if they will definitely die without the transplant.
Abortions will cause a fetus to definitely die. A successful abortion results in death 100% of the time. An abortion that does not result in death is by definition not an abortion.
Your body is still considered your body. It's not just kidneys. Someone needs blood. No one can make you donate blood.
A fetus develops his or her own blood at around day 15.
If someone will die without a bone marrow transplant, no one can make you donate yours.
A fetus develops his or her own bone marrow at around 10 weeks.
Even after death, doctors can't just take your organs.
Unless you're a fetus. They can if you're a human fetus. They can throw them away in a medical dumpster.
You have to explicitly consent to being an organ donor. Think about that for a second. Even someone who is already dead still has legal protections over what happens to their body.
Unless you're a fetus.
This is considered a basic and uncontested rule about bodily autonomy. Your body cannot be used to sustain the life of another person without your consent.
Well, what if you're a Siamese twin? Can you kill your twin to be rid of them? The answer is no.
So tell me why, the moment the conversation becomes about pregnancy, that same autonomy that is so protected in every other circumstance is suddenly up for debate and under attack. The idea that no living being is entitled to your body for life support.
Unless you're a fetus. Then the mother is entitled to your body, and so are the medical dumpsters they dump you in.
It's no longer a settled rule that we've all agreed on. Now it's a political debate. It is the same concept, it is the same bodily autonomy issue, but suddenly held to a completely different standard, primarily based in religious belief. Despite the fact that we live in a country that was founded on freedom of religion, therefore freedom from religion.
I think you might have missed a premise or two in your syllogism there.
Tell me logically, without bringing God into the conversation, why bodily autonomy suddenly goes out the window when it comes to pregnancy.
It's always interesting when someone says to argue your point, but do it this way. Like, convince me, but don't use X or Y. Anyway, by your own definition, the human fetus has bodily autonomy and therefore is protected by the same rights as the mother.
How many civilians in general did he kill? How many hospitals did he blow up with children and women inside of there?
For Trump? Well, we just bombed one in Iran that had like 170 school children or
how
whatever.
Confirmed is that?
It's 100%.
Is it? I've seen...
Well, it's either you believe that the U.S. did it, which is, I think, what New York Times and most people are reporting, or you believe Trump when he says that somehow Iran stole a Tomahawk cruise missile and directed it at their own school children.
First of all, Trump didn't kill any school children. It was an American pilot who killed school children. The question is, was it on purpose or a casualty of the fog of war? If you're going to argue that it was done on purpose, here's what you have to believe. Number one, Trump decided one day that what this war needed was for us to kill some school children. Number two, he had to direct the commander of operations to kill some school children. The commander of operations ordered his direct subordinate to kill some school children. And on down the line to the pilot, an American pilot is eventually ordered to kill some school children. And he did it. Do you honestly believe that? Do you believe that this American pilot was given orders to kill school children and he followed those orders? I find that hard to believe. But it should give you something to think about. When you shake your fist and scream, Trump is killing school children, you aren't doing that in a vacuum. Just like when you make the decision to go to war, you aren't doing that in a vacuum. Regardless of how careful you are, there are going to be unintended casualties. It happens in every single war. It always has, and it always will.
So if the Democrats tell you to hate socialism, and the Republicans tell you to hate socialism, and the CIA tells you to hate socialism, and the billionaire-controlled media also tells you to hate socialism, then you should love socialism.
You ought not talk that way, you just a boy.
Well, who can argue with that logic? The Republicans tell you to hate it, the Democrats tell you to hate it, the CIA tells you to hate it, and the media tells you to hate it, therefore we should love it. Does that logic work for everything? They also tell us to hate murder. Should we love murder? Or the reverse. They tell us that we should love our country, therefore we should hate it. And where does this guy come into the picture? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what to do here, trying to be logical. How do I know I shouldn't do the opposite of what he says? Do the opposite of everything everyone tells you except what I'm telling you. But if I don't do the opposite of what you're telling me, see, it's starting to make my head hurt, and I'm on here for the funny cat videos.
Because if socialism always fails, why are all of the most wealthy people so afraid of it?
Well, I think that it's not that they're afraid of it, it's more that they don't like failure. Like, I'm not afraid of socialism, I just prefer that the country not fail.
We're about to have the first trillionaire, and there are people living paycheck to paycheck who oppose a wealth tax. That's not even socialism. It's a wealth tax.
Yes, I'm opposed to the government taxing my wealth. I don't have much of it, but what I have, I'd prefer to keep. Call me crazy. I'd like to have something to leave for my children, and actually, I have a constitutional right to do so. Loving v. Virginia, 1967.
You have been brainwashed by the most evil people.
Have I? I don't feel brainwashed.
So you know whose opinion we don't need? Yours. How about that?
How about that?
Hey, Tennessee. You.
Davey, I ain't never said I ain't been whooped. I have. But I give each and every one of them fellas a chance to dig in and get the job done. But I ain't never took nobody's word in advance they is gonna chastise. Much obliged.
Thank you.